Good afternoon. Stephanie Harris, the City of Belton Assistant Finance Director, is going to go through the agenda today. And as we go through, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to speak up and let us know in case we can't see you. Stephanie, please go ahead and get started.
Okay. Welcome everyone. We will start just at the beginning with the summary for 6 months ended as of 2021. And excuse me while I look away because I'm looking at my big desktop monitor. So for the first 6 months of the year, so far in public safety sales tax, we have received $1,287,000 in sales tax. It's earned $6,200 in interest. And we have the cash carryover from previous years, net, if you want to say, income, that was carried into the current year and is available to be spent. You will see on following pages that how that breaks out between fire and police. This is a consolidated page.
Stephanie, can we have Andrea please turn to page one?
There you go. So I've just discussed the upper part, revenues part. And again, this is the summary, combined fire and police statement. So this is overall fund statement is what we would refer to this as. Below, you will see the breakdown between the fire department and the police department and the amounts that have been spent 6 months to date for each of those line items. Our total transfers from the public safety sales tax fund to the general fund, who they reimburse for these expenses, has been the $283,440 in effect. Andrea, if you want to go to page 3 of the PDF. So then this is just an overall recap of basically what I just said. It does give you a little bit more detail in that as of September 30th, $1,217,000 is restricted for fire, $2,078,000 is restricted for the police as of 9/30/21. So next page. This is, whereas the first statement was an overall fund statement, this is what I would call a departmental summary of that same information, but broke down between fire and police. So in total, your totals will be the same as that first page, but this does show the breakdown between each department in a column. So you can kind of see, obviously, public safety sales tax revenue gets split evenly, interest gets split evenly. The carryovers came by department. That's the breakdown of how they rolled forward. And then again, the bottom half of this basically ties to the same first page, just in a different format, shows them in columns instead of in the same column. So that next page. And then this page shows, I personally think this is probably one of the most useful at this stage, statements, is it shows what our annual budget is and where we are as of 9/30, 6 months into the year compared to budget. So this is a good way to analyze where money has been spent, where there's still money available to be spent. It doesn't look like we have any areas that have gone, well, a little bit on the chest compression has gone over, but there if we've gone over anywhere, it's been relatively minor, and we had carry forward that would cover any of that over budget. So not a huge concern in any area of expense. And then most importantly, the detail that follows along behind all of this in the remaining pages is the backup for each one of these line items. So you should be able to see all of the detail. And we tried to label things to give you a good indication of where the totals came from. And it should be in order of each line item. So hopefully you can tell what invoices and the backup that was spent for each one of these line items. I don't know if anybody has any questions, if anybody looked at this ahead of time. If you didn't, we can certainly sit here and give you a chance to digest.
Does anyone have any questions?
I do.
Hi, Carolyn.
Hi. Do you ever make entries to adjust the budget for the overages? I know everything is on a cash basis and I know there's money to cover everything, but when you're talking about the overages, just a general question, do you ever make adjustments to the budget to cover the overages?
If
Go ahead.
the total line item, so there's a total line item for each of those, for example, safety equipment.
Mhm.
And so we're not looking so much at the individual items. What we're looking at is that the total line item doesn't go over. So if for whatever reason a department was going to purchase over their total equipment budget, we would do an adjustment, but we
Okay.
wouldn't do an adjustment to the line item for an item. They're not allowed to exceed the total budget for the line item.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Any other questions?
So the other thing I will say is, hopefully our committee is getting a report that looks more similar to this every month now. And so hopefully it's easier for our committee members to track and then tie into this as we present the semi-annual report. So I don't know, Caroline, if you feel like that has been beneficial or
I don't have any trouble reading this report. I just was curious about that one question that I had. I was in accounting for over 30 years, so I don't have any problem reading it.
perfect.
So, you
can
I mean,
answer our questions.
when I was doing it, we always made budget adjustments to move it from one line to the other. So that's why I asked the question, just to make sure that, but if you're looking at it, like she was saying, from the overall view, I wasn't concerned about the money because obviously there's enough money there to cover everything. So, but yeah, I mean, it looks fine to me because I've been through the whole thing. So,
Yeah, lots of detail.
Right, exactly. You have to have the detail to go with the numbers. So
right.
And we want to make sure that we're as transparent as possible so that citizens can see how that sales tax is being spent.
Exactly, yeah, because they're the ones that are going to ask questions if anything
Absolutely.
comes up. So
yeah,
thank you.
Yes. And so
I have a question on the fire engine. The 440, 187 that's represented there, was that basically that was what was budgeted out of this year's safety money? Because the total line item is 680 for the truck.
well, you're going to have to ask Stephanie because she'll have to do some research probably to answer your
I knew we had,
question.
I knew we had carryover, so that's what I was wondering, if the carryover is
Mhm.
just not there, and that's what we expected out of this year.
What do you think, Stephanie, or do you need time to look that up?
Well, let me grab my budget book.
Or you could just get back to him.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's
So
fine.
so that you're not having to do it right now live.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll get back with you. I'm guessing that's the amount that's right in the budget, but I'll get back with you.
What other questions do you have? Anyone? If not, we can talk about when our next meeting will be scheduled. And if you think that you need to have a meeting before the next semi-annual meeting, or if you think April of 2022 will suffice. I'd love to hear feedback from all of you.
I'm good with waiting until the next semi-annual meeting in April. I'll just call out that the last meeting we had, we kind of agreed to do a report after each meeting versus once a year. So that's something that we'll probably want to be consistent with following this meeting.
And can you remind me who did the report last time?
Last time it was me and Jane Hull, but I would welcome
It was
anybody.
Allison.
Hi, Jane. Anyone who's excited at doing that or would like to help with it, I would definitely take the help right now. It's not very time consuming, especially given how this meeting went versus the last one. We had some more questions last time. So happy to show my work, but if someone else wouldn't mind stepping in to do it, I would take the help.
I'm not, let's see, I'm not going to volunteer this time because I've got some surgery planned, hopefully in the next 30 days. So I would prefer not to. I thought Martha might help this time with the report.
I can do that. It might be like next week or so before I can get to it, though.
I think that's fine. It took us a couple weeks last time, and you should have it in your email, but I'm happy to forward it over. We just started in a Word doc and agreed on it, and then it was a PDF, and that was all it took.
Yeah. And I do agree. I think we can wait until April 2022 to have our next meeting.
Does
agree.
anybody not want to wait until April 2022?
Sheila, I have a question.
Yes.
Oh, when we were appointed to the committee, it says our terms expire on April 1st. If it expires on April 1st, how does a committee member attend that final meeting that we've gone through all year trying to get facts on? Should it maybe expire like the end of April instead of April 1st?
I can answer that question. My term expired on March 31st of this year, and I received a call from the mayor, which was Mayor Davis at the time, in March. So you should receive a call from Mayor Larkey in March when your term is getting ready to expire, and he asked me if I wanted to continue for the next 3 years. So you should hear from the mayor.
What happens if the mayor doesn't want you to return as a member? That's, you know, I want to continue on the committee, but if the mayor has somebody else in mind, how does the person that's been on the committee all year attend that final meeting?
You would be able to watch via Zoom at the link with the public, but you would not be on that final committee. It would be just like if like we are adopting the budget for the fiscal year on council in March, and then there could be new council people that take office in April, and they are now taking over the budget that the previous council adopted. So it just is kind of like that. So if you were not reappointed, you would not be attending via the actual meeting, but you could still watch it because it's a public meeting, if that makes sense.
But what if you have comments on what's in this final report?
What I would suggest is that, and any member of the public could do this, if they had any comments or questions, they could reach out to any of the public safety sales tax committee members, and they could share their concerns, and so that the committee members could ask those questions.
I'm not sure I'm getting my point across. Okay, I'll get with the mayor.
Okay.
I think I was just going to throw it out to the rest of the committee in case they didn't watch or had not heard, but the council approved the addition of 3 firefighters last night, and that's as as a direct result of this sales tax. So that's pretty awesome, and I thought that everybody ought to know that if they didn't yet.
Great.
Great news.
So it sounds like we have agreement from Martha and from Councilwoman Lawson to create the report that will go out to the public. And our next meeting will be held in April of 2022, towards the end of the month, so that we can get the final numbers for the fiscal year. Does anyone have anything else to talk about?
Do we want to go ahead and set a date for April 2022?
Up to the committee.
It would be helpful if we go ahead and set that date. If Wednesday, April 27th works for everyone at 2 p.m.
That's good for me.
Yes,
too.
from here.
Say 22nd,
27th.
27th.
7th.
27th.
There we go. 2 o'clock.
Yes.
I don't have anything on my calendar.
Is that going to be Zoom or is it going to be in person?
To be determined, probably.
I hope that it's back in person.
Would anyone have a problem meeting at 2 p.m. in person?
No.
Okay. Well, then let's shoot for that if that's okay with everyone.
If there's snow on the ground, no.
Oh, goodness. I
Yeah,
don't
I
know which
hope
is
not.
worse, COVID or snow in April.
Okay.
And Allison and Martha, I just sent you an email with the report from last time to use as a
Thank you.
template.
Perfect, thanks.
If nobody has anything else, I'll see you all in April.
Thank you,
Sounds
guys.
good.
Thanks,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone. Stephanie.
No problem.